Welcome, everyone, to Color Commentary. We are your popper commentators, Michael Petchik and Adrian Gonzalez. How's it going, Adrian?
I can't really answer that right now. I'm such
Why
a mixed
is that?
bag of emotions today. I'm sad because my computer is not working, but I'm happy because Go ahead, I'll let you do it.
Aaron Cain of Aaron Cain's Custom Deck Boxes, fan of the show, is on here with us, and we're going to talk with him about Pauper and stuff.
That's my impression of an air horn.
Oh, that's a shame. I could have actually rigged that one up as a sound effect too, but okay.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here, guys. This is going to be great. I'm just huge fans of the show, as you guys know, and I just love the format, and Pauper's where it's at.
I think you were actually one of our first Twitter followers, so long time fan of the show.
Well, I got wind of your show through one of Alex Ullman's articles, is where I originally saw it, and there's been a few Pauper podcasts in the past, but when you guys came onto the scene, you kind of just took it and ran with it, and I've been listening ever since.
I mean, we are the premier Pauper podcast. You can say that 3 times fast.
I'll try not to.
Yeah.
Well, just so
maybe give us. Yeah.
Oh no, you go ahead, Mike.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Adrian.
I've explained this on other episodes where we have a guest. It's really hard because the 3 of us aren't actually looking at each other, so expect a lot of over talking. But yeah, I was just gonna say, everyone knows Aaron Cain makes boxes, which we can talk about, but we do have some magic questions for you first, if that's okay.
Absolutely, hit me with them.
And Mike, since I can't raise my eyebrows at you, you know exactly what I mean. Do you want to do these A/B?
Yeah, we can do these A/B.
All right. So Aaron, tell us a little about yourself. Where are you from? What do you do for a living? We know that one, I think. And do you have any hobbies besides magic? This is more of an open-ended question for you. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm from Slinger, Wisconsin, which is a small town that's probably about half an hour away from Milwaukee. I build custom deck boxes for a living now. I actually this is my first year doing it full time. I've been doing it now for about 6 years. It's the first year that I actually previous to this, I was a high school physics and chemistry teacher in Lamira. And I actually decided to go my own way and start my own business. And the community's been great, and it's just been extremely exciting for myself and my family. I can be home a little bit more and so forth.
I kind of guessed you were from Wisconsin.
Well, that's good. Well, you don't have the Texas accent, as far as I've heard. So maybe I'm wrong on that, but you don't sound like you're from Texas.
TV, man. TV.
I mean, to be fair, I don't dreadfully sound like I'm from Boston either. So, what everyone else thinks of Boston sounding like.
Sure. Are you originally from Boston, or is it, or did you move to Texas and you moved back, or?
Yeah, I grew up a little bit outside of Boston, but owing mainly to the fact that my mother is like full blood English, I do not sound anything like I grew up in Boston.
Got it.
But yeah, I moved out there and we moved back, and whole big back and forth there. But what about other hobbies outside of magic? I mean, obviously, I'm guessing that the woodworking maybe started as a hobby.
Yeah, the woodworking is kind of an interesting situation in the woodworking. I mean, coming out of college, and as you know, as I'm sure you guys know, you're poor, like really poor, like you have no money for anything nice. So originally when I came out of college with my wife and I, and we had no furniture, and all of our furniture was really bad. Like we didn't have a coffee table to sit drinks on and stuff. So rather than purchasing the cheap stuff that you could probably get from IKEA, I decided to just buy myself a table saw instead, and I just started building furniture for my house. And I ended up going ahead and basically learning more, and checking the internet and scouring any sort of TV shows and so forth to try and learn how to build fine furniture. And eventually, it got to the point within years later, I have built every single piece of furniture in my house practically, and I had to move on to something else. I got into building boxes, so that's where I'm at from that. Hobbies wise, I have other stuff. I mean, I've had lots of hobbies in the past. The big one right now is the woodworking. Just takes up so much of my time. But I've had lots of hobbies like racing. I raced cars for 10 years at a local racetrack. I love movies is a big thing. I'm always going to movies and so forth. But yeah, I've had rock climbing, paintball, magic, obviously, and I've done lots of stuff. So.
Cool. I kind of love the fact that your start in woodworking is very large, very kind of you can be a little bit rougher on your cuts and all that. And now you're doing these deck boxes that I don't know if I've mentioned this on the show before, but my wife actually is a book artist, and she is so detail oriented that I one time got her a birthday card that was slightly miscut, and she criticized it. But I've shown her your boxes, and she has been duly impressed.
Excellent. That's good.
I just like the contrast between a box that is like super super thin and very very tight tolerances versus a coffee table, which functionally just needs to be a plank with legs underneath it.
Sure, exactly. No, it's taken me it's taken me a long time to be able to figure out the proper procedure to be able to get it to fit like it does. And it does. That probably takes, I don't know, if you had to pick one thing, that's what takes the longest, trying to be able to get it just right where you have that almost like suction like feel to the boxes when it closes and it stays shut, you hope. So that's really what you're looking for.
Yeah. So can you tell us how you actually got into Magic? Like when you actually started playing, what the first set was?
Yeah. I started playing in Alpha. I originally started when I was like a freshman in high school. It was like 1992 or 93, whenever it came out back then, and went to Gen Con. That's when Gen Con was held in Milwaukee, and I bought like a starter deck and I bought some booster packs, and I wish I didn't open them. You know what I mean? You go back and with how expensive those cards are now, it was incredible. Nobody thought, back then, nobody thought that Magic was going to be what it is, but it really, really took off. And it's, I played for a couple of years and then I kind of got out of it. And, like a lot of people do, you go off to college, you kind of forget everything because you're concentrating on getting in good grades and stuff. And I come back, I get my teaching job, and my students are playing it. And I have all of these boxes of cards I start going through. And as I start going through, I said, I have some pretty nice stuff in here. And so I started throwing together decks and playing with those guys. And then all of a sudden, my buddy comes back from the Gen Con when it was in Indianapolis, and he's saying, hey, you're a woodworker. You should start trying to build some of these boxes. And that's basically where it all started. And I started selling on eBay and Etsy, and then it's really just taken off.
Neat.
What is your usual level of play? Do you normally play on Moto, F&Ms, GPs, kitchen table?
Sure. Most of the time right now I play with my son, which is pretty casual. We're playing Pauper. I do play an MTGO every now and then when I have some time. Friday Night Magic wise, I don't really attend much. I don't play standard. I play basically two formats. I play Modern and I play Pauper. So it's kind of hard to schedule things correctly when events are firing at some of the local game stores and so but I still play with some of my former students. We drafted Modern Masters 2017 a couple weeks ago, so that was fun. I think we have another draft scheduled for a couple weeks from now, in fact. So but yeah, so it's basically it's casual, semi-competitive, but I'm just trying to get my kid into the game right now. He likes these Pokemon cards, and I think, unfortunately,
that'll never last.
No, it won't. Exactly. He's like, yeah, I got this Pikachu. I was like, that Pikachu looks overweight. Maybe we should play Magic instead. So it's one of those. It's one of those things that I'm trying to influence him to find the correct path. So.
So actually, since you brought up that you also play modern, we've got our questions laid out here, but
Yeah.
I'm kind of gonna go a little out of order.
Sure.
I'm curious, what is your favorite Pauper deck, and what is your favorite modern deck? Because I'm curious if it's similar things in different formats, or if you're the type where you have your pet deck in each of them and they're completely different.
Yeah, that's a spectacular question. They are actually very similar. My favorite Pauper deck is the one I still think is just great. It gives you a chance in whatever you're playing. I love playing Mono Blue Delver.
I was gonna say you're the Delver player.
I am a Delver player. I'm one of those evil Delver players, and I was pretty upset when Cloud of Fairies got banned, but I understand why it got banned, because I didn't have a chance to beat the other deck that was abusing it. But so that's by far, I just love that deck. You always have a chance no matter what you're playing. I just love playing Delver. My modern deck then that I really liked, my favorite modern deck would have been from a couple years ago when they had Treasure Cruise, would have been the Blue-Red Delver. And that was totally unfair. It was completely unfair. And then I kind of morphed over into playing Grixis Delver a little bit more, where you're playing tokens and Young Pyromancer and things like that. And so they're similar decks, I guess you could say.
Yeah, they're both stick a threat.
I think that is
tactics.
interesting.
But I have tons of modern decks too. I mean, I have an Infect deck. I have a Burn deck. I have a Dredge deck that got neutered. But
Yep.
So I got a pile of modern decks and I got a pile of Pauper decks, and I play them all, and it really doesn't matter too much either way. So
Yeah, I was just curious because, for example, when it comes to me, I play Legacy as well, and in Legacy I also, much like in Pauper, enjoy super grindy control-ish decks. Never outright hard control, but in Pauper I love your janky sort of pig trinket style stuff, and then in Legacy I enjoy Nick Fit and Tezzerator. And I'm always curious about that one, just because some people it lines up so well, and other people it's just oh yeah, no, I like I like combo in modern, and I like something else in standard, and even something else in Pauper.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not a huge combo fan. I mean, I'll play anything, But I mean, when you're talking about combo, I mean, Magic Online makes combo decks a little bit easier to play, but it just feels bad when you lose to a combo deck. So I try not to play those.
How did you get into Pauper specifically?
Sure. I got into Pauper again with my, primarily when I was back teaching, and we had to figure out a way to have kind of, cheap, inexpensive decks where a group of 12 kids could get together and play. So the cheapest inexpensive decks and the most competitive were the Pauper decks. So we started off, our first original tournament was a Pauper tournament that we ended up playing. And from that point, I had one deck, and then I was like, well, I got to get them all. It just seems so. You end up, they're so inexpensive. You might as well, invest in it, and you can, anytime you get a bunch of guys together, just get the decks up and play.
Yeah, I have quite a few Pauper decks. In addition to Boros, I also have. Well, Moto, I have everything, but in paper, I have Boros, Affinity, Pig Trinket, Mono Black.
You got most elves, right?
Goblins. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got elves, goblins. I got a lot of decks in paper.
Yeah, again, it's just one of those things that they're so inexpensive, especially for the most part, they're really inexpensive in paper, unless you're looking at Chain Lightnings and things from Burn. But yeah, I mean, you might as well invest in those, and especially you guys had Pat's games where you could play every week. It made sense. You could play any deck you wanted and just have fun doing it.
Yeah, that and the ability to loan stuff out, because it definitely helps people be more willing to try out a format when you're just oh yeah, I've got a deck here. You can play this.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
All right, I'm gonna pick one of these questions that I think is always intensely contentious for some people. What basic lands do you prefer?
I don't care, honestly.
No.
It doesn't matter to me. When I read that question the first time, and I was like, island. that was what that came to mind. But it just doesn't matter to me. One of the sad things I remember was when I started getting back into Magic, I ended up taking all my black bordered like beta lands and stuff, and I sold them on eBay. And I was just trying to get more cards so I could afford them many years ago. But I still have a bunch of beta basics, and and some of those are fine. But honestly, it just doesn't. I'm more of a competitive player where it doesn't matter as long as it taps for blue or it taps for red or whatever it's going to tap for. It doesn't matter what it looks like.
But Aaron, what if they look at your hand and they see you have different arts on your lands, and then you play one of them and they know which one you played? Come on, man. Give enough information.
That is true. I never thought of it that way.
I was going to say, at least tell me that they match, because right now I'm like distraught on a deep level.
I actually, to be honest with you, I don't think they all match. I think, most of the Pauper tournaments I play, I guess most of the Pauper tournaments I play, I don't think that people are looking to see what kind of basics I have. But that is interesting. I don't think all my lands match in my Pauper decks.
Well,
you've lost all respect. It doesn't matter what kind of box I build now.
I take my land personalization very, very personally. I play with Portal basics in paper and with the Guru lands on Moto.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Mike, do you want to tell him about your suboptimal choice?
What was that, Adrian?
I said, do you want to tell him about your excellent choice in basic lands? Well, not as good as mine, but still pretty good.
I mean, I just go with Tempest. Tempest has a lot of nostalgia for me, and I'm a big sucker for anything that says tap, add color of mana to your mana pool. But, opinions are varied, and, everyone's got one.
Everyone's got one, absolutely. And the kind of basics I have, it just doesn't matter to me.
One of the most painful trades I ever made was I traded a Therese Nielsen Full Art Island for a City of Traders. And I mean, that was a good trade for me, but man, letting that island go was rough.
Yeah. You guys will love this story. This is my favorite trade story. And actually, I was going to save this one for my favorite play, but it has nothing actually to do with actually during gameplay. This is my favorite play, but it was during a trade. When I was like a freshman in high school, and I had, I opened up a booster pack. It's probably like unlimited or whatever it was at the time. And I opened up a Lich. I don't know if you guys know what a Lich is. It's a black card. It's the original Lich.
It's one of the ones with like the tiny text that's almost impossible to read.
It's old and valuable.
Doesn't matter anymore because it does something completely different.
Absolutely. And I didn't want the card. You know what I mean? I was in high school or whatever. So I ended up trading the card, and everybody like that was in my best friend was there with me, and he was like, don't trade that card. It's worth a lot of money. I was like, I don't want this card. I don't even know what it does. Like, you know what I mean? Like you said, it's so much text on it that I didn't even know what it did. So I ended up trading the thing. And I wanted to play like an aggro deck, and this is before you could only play like 4-ofs, and so you were just piling all these different cards. I ended up trading the thing for a pile of beta lightning bolts.
Ooh, that's a good trade for you.
It was a really good trade for me. So all my friends told me not to do it, and I ended up getting the good end of the deal on that because I just wanted a bunch of lightning bolts to throw in a deck.
Oh man. Okay, so
that was my favorite play.
out of curiosity, I had to look up what Lich actually does, and this is a mess of a card. It's an enchantment for black, 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 black.
Yep.
As it enters the battlefield, you lose life equal to your life total. You don't lose the game for having 0 or less life. If you would gain life, draw that many cards instead. Whenever you're dealt damage, sacrifice that many non-token permanents if you can't lose the game. When Lich is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you lose the game. What on earth?
It's word
fits,
salad.
right? It kind of fits the theme, though, because the liches have phylacteries, right? They got to have a phylactery to live. And so if you get rid of the enchantment, you get rid of the phylactery and you lose.
I'm just like, I'm baffled by the amount of words that are in there. Like, it's a cool design, but like, this card is a mess. And they've done so many riffs on this over the years that like I remember when I was like playing as a youngster, there was the riff on that in Odyssey, Nefarious Lich, which I've got here as well, which is 4 black mana enchantment. If damage would be dealt to you, exile that many cards from your graveyard. If you can't lose the game, if you'd gain life, draw that many cards instead. And when it leaves the battlefield, you lose the game. But yeah, man, the early days of Magic have some interesting design choices, shall we say.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was like I said. So I dumped that card, and I think that card's fairly expensive at this point. I think last time I checked, it was like $90, but one of those beta bolts is like 70 or something like that. So I was like, yep, I made out on that deal years later. So
I do like the fact that there was a time where you could actually run that hypothetical, like I know with Burn, a lot of people say like, you know, what's the optimal burn deck if you can run any number of lightning bolts? And there was, in fact, a time where you could just run lightning bolts and mountains.
Yeah.
And that was okay.
I think the deck that I was trying to build was there's a 1/1 green flyer called a Scrib Sprite. And I ran Scrib Sprites and lightning bolts. That was like the deck. And yeah, it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. But either way, it was fun.
Are you nostalgic about anything in the game? You know, you've played for a long time, so I'm sure you have story upon story. But is there anything about the game where you think, "Wow, Magic was really better when X was happening," or "Oh yeah, those days when I was doing X were really good"?
I love going back. If I had to go back to any time, I suppose I got back into the game in Innistrad, and I tell you, that was so much fun when I first got back into it, being able to play flashback spells, and that to me is probably one of the most memorable times, is when you leave the game for so long and to find out it's still around and come back especially when the game was experiencing so much growth right around that time. That to me is, I'll never forget the original Innistrad with flashback. I just love the mechanics. And if there's any sort of nostalgic, that's where I'm at there.
Yeah, it was a really good set. And that's about when I started playing too, casually in college, was Innistrad Ravnica. And I'll tell you my trade story, because this is back when we were in college. We didn't keep up with the metagame. We didn't know how to price cards, you know. And so my friend opens a foil Liliana of the Veil. And I'm like, wow, that's a sick card, man. He's like, it's just really not what I'm looking for, though. And I was like, oh, yeah? Well, you want to trade? He's like, yeah. I was like, well, how about this Vampire Nocturnus? And he's like, oh, dude, that'd be so sweet in my Vampire deck. And we did that trade. And, you know, at the time we were like, Mythic's a Mythic, right? So we just didn't know, you know, that there was even the vast amount of resources available to us that were even available back then. You know, we still had like the internet and TCG Player and, you know, Channel Fireball. We had everything, and we just didn't know that we could go look all that stuff up immediately. You know, back when you started playing, you had like Duelist and Scry.
There's nothing like that available. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, I remember seeing I remember seeing Black Lotuses floating around, like, you know what I mean, out of sleeves. You know, people just playing them. Nobody played with sleeves. It was just riffle, shuffle them up, and it's crazy to think just how far the game has come, you know, since that point.
So yeah, there's a bunch of old videos out there from Pro Tours where like they were playing extended, and you can watch like pros who are still active today, like riffle shuffling decks full of duels unsleeved. on camera, and it's just like, oh, this hurts.
That makes me kind of have a question. Did you attend the first? I don't know if it was the Pro Tour. It may have been the Pro Tour. It was in like in New York City, huge snowstorm. But basically, you qualified by calling them, and as long as you got through, you were able to go.
I heard the story, and I listened. I don't remember who I was listening. Was it Randy Bueller or something? I was listening to, and I think he mentioned that story that all you had to do was call and get into the Pro Tour. But no, I wasn't there. I never. I was probably middle of high school and probably still didn't know what I was doing playing the game. But no, I heard that the first PT was you just call in and, hey, cool, you're in. Thanks. So.
Yeah, man, how far things have come in those years.
My one of my friends who I'm friends with here was there, and he said that they actually ended up kicking them all out of the conference room or wherever they were because the finals were taking too long. Mm-hmm. Like it was like 9 o'clock, and they were like, you guys got to go, and so they finished the game like at a restaurant or something. I want to say, I don't know. Someone who's actually there will probably type in the comments and correct me, but it's apparently a pretty crazy story and was a crazy time to be there because I guess there was this huge blizzard at the time also, and so it was just It makes me kind of wish I could have been there, but at the same time, it also sounds kind of miserable. I guess every Grand Prix is kind of like that. Every big tournament's like that. Mm. So we got one more Magic question here, Mike. If you want to take.
Yep. And this one is one that we kind of talked about before even actually the pre-show happened. Aaron.
Yes.
What uncommon would you like to see downshifted to a common, or a card of a non-common rarity? What do you want to see brought down into Pauper?
I'm such a huge fan of Remand. I would love to see Remand come down. It's completely too overpowered to be able to have that kind of to be able to do that, especially in Pauper, I think. But being able to play Remand with Counterspell and be, instead of Deprive, take out some Deprives and put some Remands in, just seems really good, especially in the kind of decks that I like to play.
Remand is a pretty good one. I think Remand is one that you might actually see at a common in like a supplemental set or something, because the effect is really, really, really strong. So I don't know, the draw card might always keep it uncommon, but I could realistically see that getting shifted, I think.
Well, that would be great.
I not Skull Clamp,
I would say, maybe we could one day see something like what is it, Unsubstantiate, the one from Shadows that was like 1 in a blue, return target spell or creature to its owner's hand or something like that. But yeah, I think the draw card might just keep it a little too good. Although apparently Burning Tree Emissary is fine, so who knows?
Yeah.
I've got to say, I'm guessing as a Delver player, you were not too happy about Stompy getting new tools, since that's generally not thought of as a great matchup for Delver.
No, it's not. Especially when what is that archer? What's the archer's name? I can't think of the
Scattershot.
That's it. That card is that just ruins Delver. It just absolutely just ruins it. But no, I don't really. I play Stompy too. I mean, I have Stompy, but you're correct. I mean, the green matchup is not real good for Delver at all. But yeah.
All right. Well, so I think we've got some other questions, non-Magic related, that Adrian's going to take.
Yeah. So I sort of left this section, a little bit more free form. I was hoping to really explore your deck building process. What you'll tell us anyway. I'm sure you have some trade secrets. I don't know. I'm sure you have a lot of fans in the community, and I think we just like to hear, what's a typical woodworking day for Aaron, and where does he get his ideas from, things like that. So I didn't really write all those questions out. I sort of thought we'd have a discussion about it. You could just tell us whatever you want to tell us, basically.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, the first thing I can probably get to is a typical day for me. I mean, I'm right now. What's nice being home. I work from home, which is spectacular. I'm able to pick up my kids from school and take them to school and drop them off and be really, really involved, which is probably the main reason that I made the change to not teach this year. It was one of those situations where I was working obscene amounts of hours every week when I was teaching and, building these boxes at the same time. I just didn't have any time for the family. But so a typical day for me is still incredibly busy. I mean, I still work weekends. If most of the time, if you are ever, if you're ever sitting around at your house thinking to yourself, I wonder what Aaron Cain's doing, he's probably in his shop. Okay. It's one of those things that I'm always either prototyping the next box. And so just like the new box that we're trying to figure out a name for right now, or I am building, like currently right now, I spent most of the day finishing about 40 deck vaults that have been building since starting this weekend. But I am either hanging out with my family or I'm in my shop building boxes. So that's basically what a typical day is. Sometimes I take some time to watch, binge some Netflix, but that's really what I'm looking for there. So
tangential, what do you watch on Netflix?
Let's see. Right now I just finished watching one of the most, it was very good, but it was very painful to watch. I just got,
13 Reasons?
Yeah. Did you see it?
I'm in the middle of it right now. I'm on episode like 10.
Wait, what was my audio just went funky. What series are we talking about here?
13 Reasons.
13 Reasons. Yeah, 13 Reasons Why, I think it's called. I finished it last night. It is painful. That's all I'm going to say. It is really good. I mean, I assume you like it so far, correct? I mean, it's very well done. It is very well done. But the last few episodes are, man, I tell you, they make The Walking Dead look like, a roller coaster park of fun. You know what I mean? That's how how hard they are to watch. But so I watch that on Netflix. I watch, they have some of the other shows like Jessica Jones and, some of those types of shows on there. But right now they're just coming up with so much material on there right now. So that's pretty much what I'm doing right now.
Where do you get ideas for your deck boxes? The new box that you made for Pauperpalooza is really freaking cool. Honestly, like I like that design a lot. But you have a pretty wide variety. You have the deck vault, or I'm gonna get some of them wrong. You have the matte box. You have the tower styles. You have the top loaders, the side loaders. Like, what do you like? Look at the plastic ones, or do you just sit there and dream them up, or?
Honestly, I get my ideas from all over the place. Here's a great story for you. You guys will appreciate this story. The deck vault design, which is my most popular design, that particular design came from, you guys know who Ken Nagel is? Ken Nagel is a designer. He's one of the designers for Magic the Gathering, right? He designs, he's on like he's on the team that makes up the cards and, makes the card. I forget the design team, I think it is, or something to that extent. And sometimes he's the lead designer depending on the series. Ken Nagel's wife, Wendy, she is responsible for the deck vault design, the original deck vault with the window cut out for the commander and everything like that. She came up with that idea many, 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 many years ago and told me to build it. And I gave it a shot and it worked out great. And now it's probably my most popular, box that I sell. So a lot of the ideas I do get from, people, asking me, hey, have you ever considered this? Have you ever considered that? Some of the other boxes, though, like you mentioned, sometimes it's just coming up with a new innovative way to do something that might kind of be out there. I mean, I think it's fair to say that the new deck box is pretty similar to like the Satin Tower. But I've been working on that kind of design for years. I've probably been working on something similar to that for probably 4 years, but I could never really get it to work because I was always worried about the dice compartment, because gravity kind of plays into the case where the dice compartment will just naturally slide off the bottom. So it took me a long time to develop that like crest that you see like on the sides of the boxes, where the two halves of the box actually interact and kind of like fit together like a puzzle, giving a little bit of added friction to be able to keep everything pretty stable. And hopefully you're not going to have to worry about any sort of, dice falling out the bottom or your top falling off your box. And so it's a long process. I am not I'm more of a, from my science background, I'm more of an engineer, kind of deck box builder than an artist. I think Michael, you went to school for design, you said.
Yeah, I did. So I definitely have an appreciation, because there were a handful of projects I did woodworking for. Like there was one point where I built like a fake guitar amplifier in like a tiny size, but like, yeah, I have full respect for what you do, just knowing like the level of detail that I've put into like faking these things and like cutting corners. And when you're working with the wood exposed, it's a lot easier to see when someone's kind of, faking it versus actually putting it together.
The larger the project is, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, the larger the project is, the much easier it is to hide any sort of mistakes, but when you have such a tiny little box, they kind of stick out. They got to be really, really good to keep people happy. So that's kind of, yeah, go ahead.
I can definitely appreciate the attention to detail, because, on these things, right, you're competing with companies that are producing mass-produced plastic boxes that are pretty much perfect for what they need out of them every time, and you've got to sell yourself as, there's a reason that you should buy my stuff over this, and you do a good job with it. So,
well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I know what my favorite box is. It's not the Legions. Don't worry. It's yours. I'll say it.
All right, that's great.
I was kind of curious. I was kind of interested, and I was kind of happy to hear that like a lot of these ideas kind of formed out naturally, because my actual background before I went to design school is I come from a family of engineers.
Oh,
so
cool.
I was well acquainted with the engineering process. And the funny thing is, as soon as I got to art school, and started taking design courses after like the foundation year, they introduced us to the design process, and the design process is pretty much the engineering process with a couple of words changed around, and instead of building a machine, you're designing a product. And I think it's interesting that there's like that parallel there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I didn't go to college to be an engineer either, but that is, from building race cars and racing those. I mean, it's just one of those things that as soon as I got out of college, I just was able to acquire a lot of skills that have somehow miraculously paid off in the form of a deck box building business.
And so you mentioned that you had started that about 6 years ago. Did you? And forgive me if you have, you don't have to say it again. I'll just listen to the episode. Did you tell us how you got into building the boxes? You said you built the furniture, but then why were you like, I want to build deck boxes? Your students said that you went to build them. Is that right?
My buddy actually went to Gen Con, and he actually saw some wooden deck boxes made by a company called Geek Chic, and they make those spectacularly beautiful tables. And they make gaming tables for D&D and things like that, and they're great. I mean, they make real good high quality stuff. I don't mind saying it because they're incredible. They're incredible business. So he came back, and he talks about how they were building something, and in the process, he was like, well, why don't you build these? So that's basically how it ended up starting, is that it started from a challenge from a friend to see if you can do a better job. And I think
like every great story.
Yeah, exactly. Every great story. And that's basically where it all started. Soon after that, and I started selling them on, I actually started watching YouTube videos, and Brian from Tulare Community College, who is just an incredible guy, he was doing his deck box review videos, and he didn't actually have any specific customized boxes on his page at that point. I mean, they were just the cheap plastic boxes, and a lot of them. And I posted kind of a snarky comment on his page, or on his YouTube page, something to the extent that it was something to the effect that, well, when you're ready to review a real deck box, let me know, something to that extent, because all these boxes were plastic. And he actually responded. I didn't think I was going to get a response back. He actually responded. I said, well, if you want to send me your boxes, I'm not paying for them, but you're more than welcome. I'll review them for you if you want. And as soon as he went ahead and reviewed the boxes, and we got incredibly good ratings with the boxes itself. That kind of exposure really has really helped my business. I don't think I can thank Brian enough for the exposure that he's actually given me over at Tulare Community College.
I don't think I actually knew his real name.
Oh yeah, the professor, Brian. Yeah. Everyone calls him the prof.
We've lifted the veil. I definitely remember seeing that video of his, and that being the first time I'd seen your name. And then definitely, like, when we got on Twitter right as we were starting the show, I was like, I wonder if that's the same Aaron Cain that's,
and then
the deck box guy.
And then we got that email from you, and Mike was like, is this real?
oh yeah. So we got, I don't know if we told the story like on air, but Aaron made us each a deck box with the show logo on it. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, because we both have access to the quote unquote corporate account for our email, and we get this email account, and it's just like, I want to build a deck box. I want to send you a deck box. And I was like, interesting.
Who's this?
And then it was
can't be real.
well, I saw the name and I was like, interesting. And I think in your email you were like, go check my Facebook page, and I've got pictures there of the box. And I go over, I go on the Facebook and I look and I'm like, oh my God, there's our logo next to Loading Ready Run and Tulare Community College and MTT Goldfish and the Command Zone and all these people who arguably put out much better content than we do. And I was like, that's pretty cool.
The thing is this, and I don't think I can't emphasize enough how much I appreciate your guys' show, because as you can imagine, I mean, I am the only employee of my business for the most part. So I am in my shop a lot. And the only thing I have is my iPhone with the podcasts that you and the content producers produce down. So I have no problem supporting, especially I have no problem supporting the material, or at least the content material that I consume while I'm in my shop, because it makes my day a little bit easier and faster as the time goes on, as I'm building out there. So if you guys, to be honest with you, I still have the boxes from Limited Resource and the Command Zone. Those are the two people that haven't exactly gotten back to me. So if you guys do know them, or if anybody out there that's listening to this knows Marshall at LSB and Jimmy and Josh from the Command Zone, please let them know to contact me. I still have their boxes. I'd like to send them to them. So
the closest I can tell to the closest I can get to knowing LSV is the time where I tweeted at him from my personal account. What was it? Which Pro Tour member would you least like to fight in armed combat? And he tweeted at me, "I don't want to answer."
Oh my
this.
God! So that was it.
So,
okay, I was
that was it.
See, I had those boxes made because there was a GP Milwaukee in December, and I knew I was going to it. So I actually tweeted at Marshall and asked him if he was going to show up, because I was going to hand deliver him to him over there. But he wasn't going to GP Milwaukee at that point. So.
Oh, what a shame.
Missing out, Marshall.
Yeah. Marshall and LSP, we know you're listening.
Right.
No, I can't.
But
I can't even put the heart into faking it.
You get enough people to tweet at them, maybe they'll come to their senses, right?
There you go. We can definitely get the tens of people who listen to this show to tweet out at it. And, maybe get some attention.
Oh man.
Yeah, I got to admit, like, I've always been really impressed by people who manage to, because I work an office job. Like, I sit at a desk and I make websites all day long, and, Adrian does similar. So I'm always impressed by people who manage to, get their passion to be their career? Because it seems like you probably have a blast.
I do. It is a lot of fun. I'm able to make my own schedule. I'm able to, if I want to take a day off, and I took my daughter to see Boss Baby a couple of days ago, I'm able to do that. I mean, I'm not exactly able to do that if I don't actually have the flexibility to be able to do so. So, absolutely. The flexibility is the biggest thing. And I'm just very, very blessed that people want my products and they're willing to pay, for the products that they get. And the only thing I can do is I just got to keep innovating and keep on producing the best material that I possibly can. So,
I know that we're running a little short on time, but I actually, real fast, wanted to talk to you about Popper Palooza. Not because I'm the champion or anything. I just wanted to know what made you decide to do that tournament, and then how did you come up with the idea? Like, I really want to do this, and I really want to give a very good incentive for people who want to play in it.
Yeah, I've had the Popper Palooza idea, not the name, because I never come up with names. I had to actually have a friend find a name to name the tournament. Just like I can't even name my own darn deck box. So I leave that to the design people like Michael. But I came up with that tournament idea about 2 years ago, because I wanted to be able to do something where I could get people involved with it. And like I said, Pauper is probably my favorite format. It's the one that I play online. It is just great. I mean, I can't believe more people don't play it. I don't know if I assume it's not even the most popular on Magic Online, but it should be, because it's the prize support for Pauper is exactly the same as the prize support for any other format. So with the amount you invest in it, it just makes everybody should play Pauper is my point. So I ended up coming up with this idea a couple of years ago, just trying to do something where I could set up a tournament through Magic Online and I could give out top 8 deck boxes. And it was kind of a March Madness kind of deal with to kind of run concurrently with, the basketball tournament and everything. So that's basically the story on how that came about. And it just took off. There's a lot of people involved with it, and we're absolutely going to do this again.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun coming from the player's side, and I would definitely love to, if not playing it again, at least be a part of it again in some way.
Well, I was going to say maybe Adrian could take a year off, so one of the less prominent members of the community can win before people start blaming him of fixing it all up.
No, what we should do is being the champion, we should be able to pick his deck.
Ooh,
we should make him play One Land Spy or something like that.
No. Oh God!
Better start practicing.
I still to this day get people like giving me hell for the fact that on air we talked about that deck and I was just like, I don't get it. Like, I just don't understand it. I have a college degree. I don't get this deck.
I played it twice, and I lost on turn 2, I think. And I was like, what just happened? I was like, I don't get this. And it was, I don't know. I don't get it either. So.
But I think that might be cool, if we get invited back next year and we
absolutely
haven't ruined it for everyone.
Oh, what I think we'll do next year is we'll make it we'll go 64 people instead. I want to make it a real big thing, so we can really get a lot of people involved with it.
Well, I can tell you from what I've heard from other people, who did not get into the tournament, that there was at least a handful of people who definitely would have participated given the chance. So 64 people, if it's still just top 8 prizes, it's no extra skin off your back. But
we'll do
definitely would. There's definitely willing people.
Good. That's what I hope.
Yeah, I talked to some of my friends at friends at Pat's who aren't on the Reddit, and they were like, "Why didn't we get invited?" And I was like, "Well, you're not on Reddit, dog."
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was open casting for this.
If you give us the heads up, we can definitely promote the hell out of this.
I'll do that.
Anything that helps build a good sense of community among the Pauper players online, I think is probably a good thing.
Yeah.
All right, so we're getting pretty close to our hour here, give or take. Adrian, you've got a segment that usually I use to torment you on air. would you like to handle it this week?
Yes, I will. And Aaron Cain, today you'll be playing today's edition of Mainboard Sideboard Unplayable.
Sounds good.
I have selected 3 cards, which you should see in front of you, and you must select whether they are mainboard, sideboard, or unplayable based purely on which one you would like to take to a nice dinner.
To a nice dinner. Okay, so So mainboard. Ooh, this is going to be tough if it's a nice dinner.
It's a nice. You have to take them to a nice dinner.
All right. So, do you want to tell everybody what the cards are, or should?
You should read the name of the card and then describe the image to us.
All right. So, mainboard, sideboard, unplayable. The first card is Angel of Despair. We have an angel holding a very large sword with black wings, and she's got no hair. And the text on the card is, of course, it's a flying angel. When Angel of Despair comes into play, destroy target permanent. That's what is that? It's a 7 cost, 2 and a black, 2 black, 2 white, and 3 colorless. 5/5. We then have Beetle Form Mage, which is a Simic and a colorless. It's a 2/2. It's hard to see this picture, but it's a beetle. And it's hard to describe this, but it's some sort of – is it a beetle eating a mage, or is it a beetle that is a mage? It's kind of hard to tell.
I was going to say, I think the mage is the upper half. I think it's like a beetle centaur.
Beetle centaur. So, yeah,
a beetle.
It does say it's a human insect wizard. And then we have the bomber corpse, which is a human soldier. I cannot, again, holding 2 torches. So we're going to go main board is going to be the Angel of Despair. I think angels are cool, and even though she might kill me with that sword, I think it's absolutely the main board. Sideboard is going to have to be the Bomber Corpse, and unplayable is got to be the Beetle Form Mage. I just not into the hybrid beetle human insect wizard, I guess. So,
I mean, maybe. I don't know. You made your choices. Private space.
Oh man!
All right, Adrian.
Yep. Thanks for joining us today.
Wait. Hold on. Just at the end here, Aaron, is there anywhere that we can find you online? Anything that you'd like to announce that's going on in your world with your business, all that good stuff?
All right. Well, you can find me on Facebook if you search for MTG Custom Deck Boxes. That comes up on Facebook. My website is AaronCainCustomBoxes.com. And on Twitter, I'm at Aaron Cain Boxes. So those are the best ways to get a hold of me. I'm always available. I answer everything personally myself. Like I said, I'm the only person and only employee of my business. So.
All right, wonderful. Adrian, take us on out, buddy.
On a date? I'm kidding. Thanks for joining us today. Check below this video or the description of this podcast for details on where to find us. We'd like to remind you that if you're listening to this on a platform with reviews, they're always appreciated as they boost our visibility. If you've got a deck list or idea for a topic, feel free to contact us either via our website or by emailing us directly at colorcommentary@gmail.com. Special announcements. Aaron Cain, thank you so much for being here today. Check his stuff out if you haven't already. He makes amazing deck boxes. And secondly, our Patreon is live. You can find it under patreon.com/colorcommentary. As usual, special thanks to Pat's Games and L. Till next week, this is Adrian and Mike, and we are signing off for Color Commentary.